Hello class, my name is Lydia and today I will be speaking about women in the Heian period. I would like to begin with a bit of information about the Heian era. The Heian period began in the year 794 and ended in the year 1185. It is considered Japan's golden age, a high point in Japanese culture that greatly influenced art and architecture. A big part of the flourishing and achievements from the Heian era was because of women. I would now like to explain their fashion, their hairstyles, their beauty standards, court life marriage, Heian concubines, and their impact in art and literature. The Heian period garments worn by nobles often had multiple layers and took many months to make. Courtiers wore junihitos, which literally means 12 layers of silken robes, but often included as many as 20, weighing several pounds. The robes often changed according to the season and latest fashions. In the Heian period, nobles dressed in kariginos robes made of silk and a bosho brimless headgear. Wearing the karigino straightened the posture and forced one to walk slowly. For hairstyles, women of the imperial court in Heian Japan grew their hair as long as possible. They wore it straight down to their backs, a shining sheet of black tresses. This fashion began as a reaction against imported Chinese fashions, which were much shorter and included ponytails or buns. A typical Heian beauty was required to have pouty mouth, narrow eyes, a thin nose, and a round apple cheeks. Women used heavy rice powder to paint their faces and necks white. They also drew bright red rosebud lips on over their natural lip lines. Japanese aristocratic women of this era shaved off their eyebrows, then they painted on misty new eyebrows high on their foreheads, almost at their hairline. They achieved this effect by dipping their thumbs into black powder and then smudging them into their foreheads. This is known as butterfly eyebrows. Heian court marriages were arranged and often polygamous. A man could have several wives, though a woman could only have one husband. There was no formal marriage ceremony. Rather, the details of the marriage were privately agreed upon between the father of the bride-to-be and the suitor. Divorce could be initiated by the husband or wife, and both parties were free to remarry again after. Both men and women conducted affairs and took lovers fairly freely during the Heian period. Women were not ashamed of such liaisons. In fact, worldly women were treated with respect. Women were separated and secluded spatially in their own family homes, in private palace quarters, and behind screens and partitions, which certainly limited their freedom of movement and experience. However, it was also provided Heian women with more control over their dealings with men. For example, in the tale of Genji, Prince Genji's principal wife, Ayo, is able to choose not to have sexual relations with him when she is displeased with his behavior and lack of visits. The author explains that it was only to have been expected that she would seem even more distant and constrained than in the past, for she had heard that he was lavishing attentions on someone whom he had installed in his house. If a woman was displeased with her lover or jealous like Ayo, she could simply refuse to see him outright. Women could also choose between the men who courted them and accept only the ones who interest them as lovers. Two of the most important pieces of literature in the Heian era are the Pillow Book and the Tales of Genji. These tales, romances, diaries of women became the classics of the literature, and the favorite poetic form of this age lasted for the next 1,000 years. The Pillow Book by the court lady Sei Shonagon seems to take us right into the court, as she records her opinions about the small world around her and her experiences with the events of her day. The greatest work of fiction, The Tale of Genji, by the lady-in-waiting Murasaki Shikibu, gives a clear and moving image of the ideas and sentiments of the age. It tells of the life of the shining Genji, his loves and his troubles, and of the melancholy and sense of decline in the generation after his death. Women had a very important role to play in social and interpersonal workings of the Heian court, and even exercised a surprising degree of freedom in a society defined by formalities. They gave so much beauty and elegance in everything, and gave so much art, literature, and poetry that it will never be forgotten.